Y'all praise y'all Bashim Yashab Bashim Rakakadash. This relates to quick news. You have United Airlines grounds all U.S. flights and major tech outages. That goes to weight and balances. You had a technical glitch relating to the weight and balances relating to the flights, specifically the United States United Airlines. There was a technical glitch, and that's why you had nationwide and airports relating to the airlines being grounded. What was the concern relating to the ground stops on flights? Operation event, computer outages, thunderstorm, or other weather concerns. These are examples. Danger of wind shear, hail, or another hazard. Ground stop can be cascading effect on flight schedules. So the main reason was a technical glitch related to the systems, relating to that weight and balance. So that postponed or grounded relating to flights, which can affect incoming, outgoing, different things. It affects the to and from. Let's go to more news. You have an relating to gerrymandering. I've seen on Newsmax relating to New York is heavy in gerrymander. I believe District 21, 22, 23 in 2022 to 24. The increase relating to gerrymander, which is redistricting. And the Texas Democrats in Texas, they flee to, because of the gerrymander or redistricting. And those seats they either going to come back, or somebody's going to take a place of them seats, and the GOP can, through certain things, can take advantage of those empty seats potentially. You know what I mean? Because really, it just gives up one side more advantage on the other. You know what I mean? Those seats that were, in a matter of speaking, that were once a certain color, for example, if they were blue, they all of a sudden turn red, and that's the change. You know what I mean? So you're seeing that. So they'll probably lose those seats if they don't return, and the GOP or maybe possibly Democrats can replace that seat, or GOP can take advantage and replace those seats. So they go into different states, and California is following suit, like I was saying, relating to what Texas is doing. So you have an internal conflict. Scripture talks about a kingdom divided against itself. How can that kingdom stand? If a nation divided against itself, how can that nation stand? But if Satan divided against himself, how can he stand but have an end? So you seeing those powers being divided, man. You're seeing the fracturing relating to the political governmental powers, man. And you seeing the fracturing of this system, man. You know what I mean? The pre-collapse, in a matter of speaking. You know what I mean? You seeing issues relating to financial, talking about the dollar, the U.S. dollar. You're seeing a lot of videos talking about that. You know what I mean? Collapsing of the potentially on the way relating to the U.S. dollar. And it's going to collapse. It's just a matter of when. You know what I mean? Because, alliances are breaking. They're forming with the opposition. You know what I mean? And China, I've seen a report that U.S. is going soft with China because they need to, because China holds a lot of their debt. So China can release a lot of debt and cripple U.S. in a lot of ways, man. So it's like biting the hand. That's like biting the hand that feeds you, man, in a matter of speaking, man. Trump continues to threaten relating to federal takeover of D.C. due to crime. Relating to that, he wants to intensify relating to D.C. and crime. Trump has already caved to Putin before Ukraine summit. Uh, breaking France, UK, Denmark, Greece, Slovenia. UN officials condemn Israeli occupation of Gaza. These are the relating to any attempt of annexation or settlement extension violates what international law. You have the Sioux 1 rainfall totals how much rain has fallen since Saturday. You have a lot of major rainfall in different parts of the country. Here's an example of some 6 to 8 inches, 10 inches, 9 inches, 8.9 inches in different areas of the country. CDC shooter's neighbor says he saw no signs. There was an incident relating to the CDC, relating to shooting incident. You have lawmakers up in the ante in Texas redistricting battle. Due to fire conditions, inmates of Rifle Correction Center evacuated due to condition of lead fire. This is Colorado area. It's Colorado area where that is. Let me see. Trump says Armenia or Azerbaijan commit to end fighting forever. Right to the conflict between them two. Hundreds arrested in London supporting Palestine's action. Protests. You have something here. This is DYK Real Life talking about Trump freaks out as China launched payment system in Africa to replace the US dollar. Read that again. Trump freaks out as China launches a payment system in Africa to replace the US dollar. We're going to look more into that more. That's a DYK video report. I'm going to read the rest of this news. Christchurch impacts beyond Idaho. New tariffs affect expected to increase costs. For the average family, $2,400 more per year. What is tariff? A tax, man. That's all it is, a financial tax. Increase in tax of goods you buy. You know what I mean? And really it just increase. A form of a tax and increase relating to prices. And on a deceptive aspect, these companies can use that, weaponize it to even price gouge more, take advantage of it, say because of the tariffs they had to up more the price because some change supply and demand, and plus everything is they have to compensate for that loss, man, so they can increase and control what they price on these products, man. Increase it more, man, so they can use it to weaponize it to their advantage relating to financially, man. You having Trump defends the U.S. economy with charts after jobs report shows warning signs. Pipe bursts amid urgent LADWP water pipes. Ceremony honors live loss of Nagasaki. You had August 6, 1945 related to Hiroshima. That's the anniversary relating to 80-year anniversary related to that. You know what I mean? You having European leaders share concern while meeting with Vance in UK, man. You know what I mean? Let's look more relating to China launch system in Africa, because that's a sign that, you know, the transition is beginning, has been beginning, but now it's becoming evident. And ultimately relating to the transition, relating to that's why he signed that stable coins thing, you know what I mean? So incrementally, step by step, little by little, certain things are being played out relating to that, man. China. Seeing videos relating to that. So yeah, different reports. So China's doing a test run using Africa to push relating to the yuan to replace what? The US dollar. China looks to Africa as a testing ground for the global rollout of the yuan. In doing that, they will challenge the US dollar, man. And their goal is to replace the relating to dependency and use of it relating to the US dollar, man. Be not ignorant anything in a great matter is small. And that goes to, in general, relating to information, knowledge, and be not ignorant, and that goes to not ignore relating to critical matters related to great or small. And this financial aspect is a great matter, man. Because it'll affect, if there's a transition that happens that comes here, it's going to affect the dynamic of everyday life of everybody here, man. It's happening, testing other places relating to that. You know what I mean? And, you know, like I said, certain things are not being talked about because that's the plan. They don't want people to know what's going on behind, especially relating to an economical aspect. So they have to put out a certain form of a narrative to control a certain narrative and put out information what they think to keep the people dumbed down, man. You know what I mean? Because really, you know, from an economical aspect, this place is done, man. You know what I mean? Scripture talks about Babylon. Let's get that scripture real quick. Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50. Because I've seen a video says America's not looking like or feeling like America again. That's right, it's not. There's one of them prepper videos, and it's not feeling like America. You know why? Because you're seeing the transition change, man. From a societal aspect, a financial aspect is not being the same. People have to pretend, just like one of the men in truth says, they had to put on a front or guise of happiness, meaning they have to pretend they're happy in a miserable state, man. You know what I mean? So people have to make themselves or force themselves to be happy under circumstances, knowing because everything is going up, just like you were saying. Prices of everything is going up. The living is going up. You know, food is going up. Different things are going up. And these people know it in heart, but you know, they in some serious form of denial. You know what I mean? You know, so thing in the old world, a hard head makes a soft ass, man. They used to say, old school stuff. You know, these people are going to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? They're going to realize that, you know, because right now you can still do certain things, man. You know, you can still do certain things, and it's really not affecting here yet. You know what I mean? So that's why it's not urgent. It's not an urgent priority for them to do certain things. We get 50 and 9. As long as they can operate and do their daily functionable things, they care less. As long as they don't interfere with their life, man. You know what I mean? A lot of these people live in a bubble anyway. You know what I mean? A lot of these people live in a bubble. They don't know what's going on from an overall aspect. They only know it's like the Running Man. Running Man's that Schwarzenegger movie in the 80s. They made a game show, and the people lived by that game show. That's all they knew. That game show was their life. Anything else outside of that, they didn't know. That game show was kind of like a forced compliance to conform to that. You know what I mean? So, but when they had their goal was to reach that satellite so the truth could be made known. You know what I mean? A satellite, which would be pretty much the internet, would expose certain things. Scripture talks about the truth shall make you free. You know what I mean? Once they got that satellite link up, and they were exposed the truth, and they were exposed the truth about certain things, but they had to get to that satellite to get to it, man, because everybody was living in the guise and hypnotized under a form of a false life of that game show. That game show was their life. That's all they know. News was that game show. Commercials was that game show. You know what I mean? And that's how it is, man. So the media and the news is pretty much the game shows. They putting out different things. The media is putting out different things to put everybody in a hypnotic state. You know what I mean? With the bread and circus entertainment, not knowing behind all that stuff, there's real things going on behind closed doors. There's real stuff going on, being planned out, being orchestrated, and ultimately implemented to do, man. You know what I mean? So they were pre-predictive programming relating to that game, making that people be hypnotized under that game. And the media, the news media, the TV is part of that programming too. That's why it's called TV programming. It's program you to fix and lock you in to certain things, like the media do. It fixes and locks you in to certain things and keeps you hypnotized to that, man. While on the back end they could do certain things, man. Shalak on that. But that's form of the witchcraft of sorcery, the mental, psychological programming, man. All right, let's go to 51. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. That goes to Great Britain. Great Britain's the mother of America. She's ashamed of her. And that's an allied nation, man, a major allied component, man. So she shamed that Babylon, her daughter, which is America, man. Great Britain is the one that passed that torch to America to run with, man, and do better than her. But she's ashamed of her. The hindermost of the nation shall be a wilderness in the dry land and the desert. That's what I was reading. Let me get 51. That's one I wanted. 51 and 9. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take palm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. Palm is an ointment, man. So if she could be healed, she would be healed. She can't be healed because that wasn't her purpose to be healed. Her purpose was to be destroyed. In 1 hour thy judgment come, relating to Revelations 18. That great mighty city, in 1 hour thy judgment come. Around 18:10 of Revelations, around that area. So that's ultimately, the Lord has a judgment for Babylon. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Scripture says, Micah 2 and 10, arise, depart, for this is not a place of your rest. It is corrupted. It shall destroy you even with a sword of destruction. Micah 2 and 10. Also in Revelations with similar language. So that's why it's the separation, because if you don't, you're gonna partake in her judgment. That's why it's saying that. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Let us go, every one in his own country. For her judgment reacheth into the heavens and lifted up into the skies. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness, come forth, and let us declare to Zion the work of the Lord of our God. So there's a judgment for Babylon. Let me read up, Shalak. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, deliver every man his soul, so it be not cut off into her iniquity. That goes with Micah 2 and 10. So they won't be caught up in relating to her judgment. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, and he will render into her recompense. The recompense is revenge and judgment. You know what I mean? Upon her, man. The righteous complain continually. You know what I mean? Babylon have been the golden cup of the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Through what? Her policies, the ways of Babylon, the Western philosophy, ideology, doctrines, the systems, the ways, the belief systems and different things of the Western way, forcefully influencing these other nations to partake relating to the Western philosophy, pushing it upon these nations. Even if they didn't want it, they push it upon them, using different tactics related to sanctional aspects and different things to pull it, because the earth has been given to the hands of a certain people, and they part of that power structure that has the control to make, you know, the nations do their bidding. Then, you know what I mean? Scripture says, Edom, the red horse, to take peace from the earth, using the great sword, man. 6:4 Revelations, man. That sword is part of that tool used for forced compliance globally upon a certain nation, ones in power, to make these other nations comply to its will, man. You know what I mean? Because their blessing is that sword, man. You know what I mean? So let me read it again. Babylon had been the golden cup in the Lord's hands and made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. So they have drunken of her wine, different forms of wine relating to philosophy, ideologies, and different things. They have become drunken. Now, after they realize, after the hangover, they're angry. You know what I mean? They realize it's not what they wanted or liked. Now they realize it for what it is, man. So these nations are, and that's the same ones related to Revelation 17. They shall hate the whore, burn her with fire. Revelation 17:16. Let me get it real quick. and 16. And 16. The ten horns that thou sawest upon the beast, that relates to EU, NATO, shall hate the whore, and that's why the nations are mad. Go back to 51 of Jeremiah. The nations are mad. You know what I mean? They're going to be mad enough to hate the whore and do certain things to her, man. And she shall make her desolate and naked. So they're going to expose her, make her naked, expose her, and shall eat her flesh. and burn her with fuel of fire, which is the missiles, man. Ultimately, all these nations are going to turn on America and burn her with fuel of fire, man. So these nations, those nations, EU, the great whore of Babylon, man, riding on those kings and those nations, man, and they're going to turn on her. You know what I mean? They're going to turn on her. That's what you're gonna. That's what's happening. You seeing them starting to turn on them, relating to an economical aspect, relating to this dollar. So they turning on her. You know what I mean? These nations are trying to remove and separate themselves from the dependency relating to this U.S. dollar, man. You know what I mean? They want to use other forms. That's why they created BRICS. So these nations can remove themselves from the dependency and really collapse that dollar, man. You know what I mean? So they could be the number one. You know what I mean? So they doing it on the economical aspect right now, which they're going to turn and do it in other ways as well, man. Once it's financial, then the bowling ball falls down and the rest fall with it, man. And that being said, I hope this helps relating to information. This is Zayal Wolf. I'll praise Yahweh Shem Yashab Bashim Kagadash. Hope it helps relating to information. The water for men and truth on now relating to truth and knowledge, so we know truth and knowledge. This is Zayal Wolf. I hope it helps. Informative. Shalom.